So,
Oh, Tasso.
yeah, there's a plaza in there, and she's great.
Oh, yeah. What's her name?
I don't remember, but she's really good.
Three, two, one.
Here we go. So they can take them up.
Yeah.
So, Amy Wilson,
Yes.
and you are the GM of
WTNB.
which is a TV
Yes.
station in Chattanooga.
Yes.
What channel is that?
It's Channel 5 here in Cleveland on Spectrum.
What channel is it in Chattanooga?
Comcast, it's Channel 210.
That's confusing. Comcast, Spectrum.
Yeah.
Do you have many people watch it?
Yeah, we do. We have about 30,000 on any given day, which is a pretty good number, I think. So, yeah.
So 30,000. How do you know how many people is watching?
The people tell us we get reports.
Is that the what do they call that report? The Nielsen ratings. Nielsen
Yes.
ratings. So y'all are on the Nielsen ratings.
Yes, as far as I know, yes.
How do they?
It's all still very new to me. I've not been doing this long.
So how long have you been with them?
We purchased the station, Christian Television Network purchased the station in June 2020. And I started then in June. So
During the COVID.
yes, right in the middle of it. And so it's been
Has that been challenging?
It has, because I can't do the kind of networking that I really need to do. Like I do Chamber of Commerce where I should be in person and meeting people, and you're trying to do it on Zoom and it's uncomfortable. And so it takes lots of prayer, it takes lots of focus, and I have to be strategic in how I'm meeting people.
Boy, that would be a challenge. To buy a business in June of 2020 would have been a leap of faith because nobody knew how long this was going to
Right.
last.
And you can't really go to churches and meet pastors face to face, because in June everything was literally shut down. So right now, at this point, I'm just now getting to meet pastors. But I did start a thing on Tuesdays. It's called Just a Minute, and pastors come to my studio and they share a devotion, just whatever God lays on their heart. There's no agenda. There's no they can have as long as they want or as short as they want, and it's really helped Cleveland and Chattanooga know that we're at least here at the moment.
What was that before y'all bought it? What did they focus on?
People have told me sports, that kind of stuff. There were Christian programs then also, but now it's solely Christian. Now it's slowly.
No old movies or nothing?
No, it's just. And we do have local programming. We have a bunch of new local programming coming. I'm excited about it. We have like 6 or 7 new churches that are signing contracts, and we're going to be able to bring local programming. That's very important to me. I got saved many years ago when I was 5, and I was watching Christian television. And my dad was a pastor, and I still got saved watching Christian television. And it's very significant to me that someone sees something on TV and the Lord changes their hearts and they find him. I want them to be able to get plugged in. So if they're watching a national program and they get saved, then praise God, they found Jesus. But if they're watching a local program and they bond with that pastor that leads them to the Lord, they can actually go to that church and they can begin being discipled. And it can go beyond just a salvation, and it becomes a whole new lifestyle. And they can find freedom from things. So that's how come local programming is so important to me as the GM, because it gives people a chance to connect beyond just what the TV says and what the TV does. So I'm excited to be able to offer some new local programming. We have a show coming for teenagers. He's a rapper. He's local right here in Cleveland. And
what's his name?
God, I don't know. I can't say his stage name.
Yeah.
It's Yahweh, I think, is his stage name. But his show's going to be a work in progress, because God has delivered him from so much and done so much in his life, and brought him out of a lifestyle. And his songs give such hope to everyone. but to me, they really focus. Like I have a 17-year-old, and his songs, she will listen to his songs and not even realize that what she's putting into her spirit is good stuff versus the horrible stuff that I hear them listen to. So I'm excited about that show. And then we have several other shows. We have a women's show coming with Women of Hope here in Cleveland. That's a drug rehab house here in Cleveland. They're going to have a show, and they're going to start featuring their stories of the women that have been set free from addiction and see where they are today. They go to school, they get jobs, and they become new people that are productive in the society. And that's right here in Cleveland, and people don't know it's here. So we have shows coming that are hopeful, that are going to bring hope and just new things to the area.
Does the shows run all through the night, or how would that be?
It's 24/7.
So what would be on at 2 in the morning?
2 in the morning is going to be you and me, and it's live prayer, and there's a hotline that you can call, and someone is right there to pray for you during the night. When things are rough at night, I know that when I'm troubled and my heart is troubled, nighttime's rough for me. And so if you're flipping through and you get to WTNB, there's somebody there praying, and there's somebody there lifting you up, and there's a live person there that's going to take the time to stop and pray with you if you call.
Will they be sitting at the station?
Mm-hmm. And it's all different stations. It will tell you on the screen if they're in Tampa or where they're at.
But not at the TV station.
Not at my station yet.
Where is that station?
We are on Bonnie Oaks down in Chattanooga. If you know where WTCI is, that's PBS. Mm-hmm. We are in the same building with them.
How many people work there?
At WT?
Yeah.
Me. It's me. Yeah.
So a one-woman TV show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That knows nothing about TV or broadcasting or anything. Yes, that would be me. Yeah.
How did you get picked for this?
Well, that's an interesting story. I was in a job that I loved, but it wasn't what I felt I was called to do. And I graduated with my MBA, and so I had this degree, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, and I wasn't happy in my job. And I was scrolling through Facebook, and one of my friends, actually 4 of my friends, private messaged me with a link to a new job opening. And they were like, this really sounds like you, that you would do good at this job. And so I scrolled through it, and I kept looking, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually qualified, other than I know nothing about broadcasting or TV, but I do know Jesus, and I do know things like that. And so I was scrolling through, and I said, well, what the hey, I can apply. And so I applied on a Tuesday. I got a call on Thursday from the GM in Knoxville. He's a wonderful man named Theron, and he called and asked for an interview. I did an interview, and in the nonprofit faith-based circuit, you don't get a job fast. I waited 3 months for a job one time because you have so many things that you have to go through. Yeah. And so I didn't expect anything fast, but God was 100% in it in my life, and I ended up knowing people that were GMs in other states, and it just worked out that in a week's time from the interview to the date I got hired, it was a week. And it was just a very fast process. And I mean, I've been very upfront. I know nothing about TV. I am learning, but the learning curve is a little harder than I anticipated. I don't understand terminology, things like that, but I'm trying. But new programs are coming, and that's really what matters, is to get the community involved. And we've had some issues with keeping it on the air because equipment was outdated, but we're at the threshold of everything is fixed at this point, and we're about to roll out a Roku channel, a YouTube channel, and they'll be able to stream no matter where they are, and there will be an app. That's all coming this month. So we've got great days ahead, and I'm excited. So that's how I got the job. And
who's the owner?
Bob DeAndre. I have a very hard time saying the last name. God gave him this 41 years ago, and it's just blossomed, and there's stations all over the country and all over the world It's international.
How do they make money? Is it? I guess they sell ads or something, or
Yeah, the churches pay to be on the air, and the programming, and that's.
so you would have in a day's time you'd have 24. You'd have 20 different churches or
in Jesus'
groups.
name, yeah.
So it would be any denomination, I guess, Mormon,
Yes.
Church of God, whatever. Just
We're about to start a Seventh-day Adventist show. We're meeting on Monday, so I want to be able to touch everybody.
do you have a studio?
We do. It's not spectacular yet, but it's a work in progress. We are hanging stuff actually this week, and so we're just we're purchasing stuff one thing at a time. But we do have the cameras, we do have the equipment. We have a volunteer. His name is Tylis, and he's helping me set everything up. I don't have a way to really produce or anything just yet, but I'm praying that God will send some interns or something that can help produce some of the new shows that we have.
So how do you know what goes on it? Do you program what show's coming on next, or how do you?
Yeah, my station has master control at our headquarters in Florida, and so we have a program guide, and then they plug it in what's going to air when.
So you plug it into them, you send it to them,
Right, and then they.
So you're not sitting there saying, okay, this show is 2:00, play that show.
I'm not. There's someone in
But
Florida.
somebody's doing it.
But I certainly turn it on and make sure it's airing when it's supposed to. I monitor greatly
Yeah.
that everything's working like it's supposed to.
So I guess
everything's
they
going.
could choose to have a TV show if they bought the rights or however
Yeah.
that's done. They say, okay, we're going to have Andy Griffith on at 5:00.
Right.
Or old westerns, but y'all are primarily in religion.
Yes, we are.
And why, if you have to put all this stuff together, why not just put it together in Cleveland rather than there?
I don't really have an answer.
Because it sounds like it could be done about anywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you from Cleveland?
I am born and raised.
Born and raised.
My dad pastored, so we
Where
moved
did
a
he
lot.
pastor at?
Nowhere locally. We pastored mainly in Illinois when I was younger.
But you've been Wilson. I don't know any Wilsons.
Well, I was young
Yeah.
originally, so Amy Young.
Amy. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know any Youngs, I don't think.
When I was younger, we were very involved at Faith Memorial, Brother Littlefield's church here in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, behind Stewart School.
Yes.
Over there behind.
Yeah.
Steve Hartline.
Yes, all my life. Yes.
So you know Steve.
I do.
Yeah.
He's actually my godbrother.
Is that right?
Yeah, I love him with my whole heart. Yeah.
What's a godbrother?
Well,
I've heard of a godfather, but
his parents, like when I was born, my mom and dad picked somebody that if they were to get killed or something, that would take over and raise my sister and I. I have a twin sister that would raise us, and Steve Jr.'s parents were who my parents chose. So
guardians.
yes,
I guess
yes,
they would have been the guardians.
Right.
So had your parents died, you would have moved in with Steve.
Yeah, Jesus help us.
So
Thank God
yeah.
nobody died. No.
That would have been. That would have been different, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, so what did you do prior to this?
Prior to this, for 7 years, I was the development director at Teen Challenge in the Mid-South down in Chattanooga. That's a faith-based discipleship program for people struggling with addiction. I was there for several years, and God taught me so much there that I'd take with me for the rest of my life. And then from there, I went to a place called Cleveland Academy. It's here in Cleveland, and it's for troubled girls that are in the system. They are in foster care, or they have charges against them and don't have anywhere to go. There's a house here in Cleveland that houses them, and I was the HR director there for a few years. And
Is that location that's hidden? Which one of it has for battered women that's?
No, that's a different. That's
yeah,
a different.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. This is for like teenagers that have charges, Tennessee doesn't really have a juvenile justice system. Like, they can't go to jail per se, so they go to these houses. And they're all over. I think there's 4 in Tennessee alone. And so we have one here in Cleveland. It's a great house. They really love the girls. They bring in people.
But they can't stay at their house.
No, they stay there.
But they can't stay at their own house.
No,
They got to
no.
stay at this house
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because they've committed some crime
Yes.
supposedly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not even that bad of a crime, I assume.
Some of them were, and some of them weren't. Some of them were simply that there aren't enough foster homes, and they didn't have anywhere for them to go, so they end up at Cleveland Academy.
You know, you don't hear of foster homes like you used to.
Right.
I remember people would be foster parents, but is that they still have those programs?
Oh, yes, and they're very much needed. They're very much needed, especially for troubled teenagers, because they've gone through so much to get to where they are, and most of them, I discovered, just simply needed to know they were lovable, that they were loved, and that's hard to do in a group setting that's being run kind of like a prison.
Yeah.
And so they would age out, and then they would have nowhere to go. I spent many days crying because I couldn't help them. So it was not the best job for me. Because I was HR, and so I was dealing with the staff and watching the kids just hurt, and I just wanted to love on them, and it wasn't within the realms of my job.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that ability. So it was not the good fit for me.
When you say age out, what is it like? Become
When they turn 18.
So then where do they go?
It's according to what their charges are and everything like that. It's a case by case. But we had one child, because to me 18 is still a child.
Yeah.
We had one child that didn't have anywhere to go, and so you literally almost dropped them off at a homeless shelter. Of course, we didn't do that. We figured things out for them, but according to the law, you just drop them off, and my heart won't allow that. So
Yeah, because kids can't really take care of themselves till they're 22 or 23, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I know some that can't even then.
Yeah. But at least past that point, it's almost their fault.
Right.
But up until that point, you almost can't blame them for anything.
Right.
So, so when they aged out and you tried to find somewhere to go, did you just have to scramble and like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can't adopt at 18, right?
No, you can. Yeah.
How old is it before you can adopt somebody?
As far as I know, you can adopt at any time if you want. I mean, I've seen 23, 24-year-olds get adopted just so that they have the family that they have always longed for.
Mm-hmm. Who's in charge of adoptions? Or is this a Tennessee?
This is state of Tennessee.
Is every state different, or is it?
Oh yes, every state is different. Mm-hmm.
So if you're a foster kid in one state versus a foster kid in another state, it might be a big advantage if they have a better foster program.
Right. Every state is different.
What's the name of the Tennessee foster kids program?
I do not
There's
know.
such thing.
I don't know. Because I really wasn't on that side of it.
You're on the ones
on
that were criminals.
Mm-hmm.
What department is in charge of that?
Department of Children's Services, DCS.
So Department of Children's Services is not for people that don't have a place to live. It's for kids that have committed a crime.
They cover everything. They cover it all.
Oh, so they would be in charge of foster
Yes,
kids.
yes.
You just weren't in that department.
Right. Yeah, they would be in. DCS covers it all the way. Those workers deserve a lot of respect.
I bet.
And they don't get it, but they deserve it. They work long, long hours, and they do the best that they can.
And probably would tend to, by accident, ignore their kids, maybe to an extent.
Mm-hmm. I have several friends, and I mean, they really work hard, and they really do care, and they get a bad reputation for not doing things the right way. but they do the best that they can with what they're given.
Within the law, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be a hard thing to figure out.
And drugs are just evil. Drugs are terrible. And every child had a parent that, I mean, I just watched drugs destroy families. And stuff.
Which drugs?
The one I see the most in what I'm around is meth. I see it hurt children so much that it just is so troubling to me. Because of Teen Challenge, I watched what addiction does. And then now I feel like it's all around me. Everywhere I go, I see a child, or I see a marriage destroyed, or I see everything destroyed because of drugs and addiction. And so I don't know what God is calling me to, but it's just all around me. And I want to have, that's how come the program for WTNB with Women of Hope and Work in Progress with the rapper, all of those programs, they have a theme of let's get to the heart of the addict. And when you're scrolling through TV and you get to a show that all of a sudden is talking about something that you are familiar with, and no matter what class, you can be upper class, lower class, middle class, no matter where you are in life, addiction has touched you in some way. You may not verbally tell people, but addiction has touched you in some way. You have watched someone you love, you have dealt with it. And so you can take me out of the Teen Challenge, you can take me out of those things, but my heart is always going to be turned toward the addict and towards the family of the addict. So
you will levitate in some form to that field.
Always. I believe always, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think addiction is the actual drug? They're addicted to that drug? Or do you think that they're addicted to the psychological diversion? If that makes sense.
I don't believe an addict is an addict because they want to be. I don't think it's meth or cocaine or heroin or alcohol. I think that there's a heart issue. I think that there's something deep down that they haven't dealt with. There's been abuse. There's been something that they just need the pain inside to stop. And they're hurting. And Jesus really will take all that away. But you have to be willing. And my first husband was a graduate of Teen Challenge. He was an addict. And even now, he served 14 years, my daughter, and I have been to maximum security prisons to visit this man. And I have sent him money so that he could send my daughter gifts at Christmas to try to maintain a relationship with him. And we told him, I said, until you deal with the heart of the issue, whatever it is that makes you want to go back to the drugs, you're just going to keep going back. You're just going to keep going back. And he got out 2 years ago. And today I can sit here and say he's clean. But when he got out 2 years ago, he has battled. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to, you can know the Word of God, because programs like Teen Challenge instill the Word of God in you, but knowing it up here and knowing it here are two different things. And he had the knowledge, like you can say 1 Corinthians 13:1, and he can spout it off to you because he knows it up here, but allowing it to go to your heart is a different thing. So if you look at addiction as a heart issue, and you won't allow things like the Word and the support of others to go to your heart, then it's just a battle within themselves. And I had somebody at my house last night that struggles with addiction, and she was telling me about that she wasn't worthy to date this kind of guy because of what she had done. And until we can get past that mindset that we've made mistakes, there's not one of us that haven't. Those of us that proclaim to be perfect, and I've met people like that haven't had any struggles, they're probably the worst ones. And so we have to just come to terms with, yeah, we've made mistakes, we've messed up, we've done those things, but we can't allow that to define who we are now and who we're going to be. And I think that's an addict's biggest struggle, is that admitting that they've made a mistake, first of all, And then from there, learning how to move forward from that mistake and not define it. I wanted to just take the young lady last night and just hold her and let her know that yes, she's had a lot come against her, and she has every right to be in the pain that she's in, but she has love, she has support, she has people in her life that aren't going to judge her. I mean, there's no judgment from me. We all make mistakes. Now, 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. I was very judgmental. I was very, you have to be this way, or you have to be that way. But the Lord takes you down a road for a reason. And I'm at a place now that I just want to love people. And I just want to see them not hurt so bad. And so WTNB gives me that avenue. And so I just think that's why it's so important to know that you don't have to stay in that addiction. You don't have to stay in that pain. I know people that are in agony right now that aren't addicted. It's just with COVID, unless you've really experienced it, you don't really understand the isolation and the things that come with it. Yeah, we've all had to stay in our houses. We've all been isolated. But I had it and didn't leave my bedroom for like 28 days. And by the end of that, I was a different person. You can ask the ones that lived with me. I was different. And it took several weeks, several months actually, to get back to being in the right mindset. And I'm 4 months out, and I still have asthma attacks every day. I still struggle every day. And my stamina isn't the same. I can't go 20 hours a day anymore for a long period of time. I can still do it for a short, but then I crash and burn. And so in the world we're in right now, if we're not careful, when we come out of this, there's going to be more addicts than ever before. So places like Teen Challenge, Women of Hope, even WTNB, we have to be proactive, and we have to be ready to fight this battle when it's full circle. In my opinion.
You feel like the battle of COVID's coming, not necessarily here.
Right. Because for me to be in the state I was in, after all I've been through and the things that I know, for Satan to be able to get as much of a stronghold that he got on me through COVID, I can't imagine what other people are going through. And so my heart is just all about that. Even if you have a mask on, your eyes can say that you're smiling. So still smile at people. Elbow them, fist pump them. Use your words and say, at the cash register, use your words and say, I hope you're having a good day. Let's encourage people. We have to get beyond the fear and the mask and all of that. I mean, wear a mask. Do what you're supposed to do. But we've got to use words. We've got to encourage each other. We've got to be there for each other. And if that's through TV, then let's do it. I mean, whatever we got to do to support each other. There were days that I literally just needed somebody to call me and say, how you doing? And you think that they don't need that because they're sick, but use wisdom. Ask the Lord to guide you on who you need to call, what you need to do, and be there for people. That doesn't mean you have to spend your money and go buy them things and do all this. Sometimes it's just a simple phone call to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Or even a text. How are you today? How are you feeling? Do you need anything? And
do you think human beings, have a need to be connected?
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's what you're saying.
The Bible tells us to assemble together. Forget not the assembling of the saints. I mean, there's a purpose that we have church services, that we have events.
You think the Bible's talking not necessarily for worship for purposes,
right,
but because it's healthy.
Yeah.
I always think of that movie where Tom Hanks was on the deserted island. What was the name of that movie? Castaway.
Yes.
And he tried every day to get back. And I think that if I was him, I'd have been tickled just to stay there. But you're saying human nature makes you want connection. Right.
I mean, some of us, like, I'm really an introvert that lives in an extrovert world, and I need that alone time. But I'm telling you, about day 5, I was done. I needed, and I'm not naturally a physically touch person. I don't necessarily need hugs and need that kind of stuff. But since I've had COVID, I need it. I need my babies over here to hug me and to tap me and tell me good day, how are you, good morning. I mean, I need those things, and it taught me so much about even those that say they don't. God designed us to need people. I mean, we need that interaction. Sometimes I just need somebody to listen and say, I've had a really hard day. And God has placed those people in my life. I'm very thankful that I have people in my life right now that seem to really care. But there have been times that I haven't had that. And I think about these, I see people in Walmart and I see people around, and I can just see their loneliness. And we're not going to church. We're not going out. We're not doing those things. Like, you drive through town at 8:30 and restaurants are empty and things like that, which people are saying, well, that means people are spending time with their family. No, it doesn't. That means they're each in their bedroom on their cell phone or on their laptop, and they're not necessarily spending time together. So I feel like when this lets up, we're going to see a lot of mental health issues. We're going to see a lot of addicts that weren't addicts before.
That are being created now.
Yeah, and so I feel like it's something that we as a society need to be proactive about, and we need to stay in contact. I do a prison ministry called Kairos, and we haven't gotten to go into the prison at all in 2021 or 2020. We went every month, and it's a total disconnect for us and the inmates. The chaplain has contacted us. We're going to be able to send in a video once a month, and they're going to play the video. But we've lost that interaction with them. And we're doing Zoom calls with the volunteers, and we're trying to, but there's a difference in a Zoom call
different.
And you and me sitting here talking.
Yeah, there's something.
Because I can read your body language.
Yeah.
I can.
Am I sitting up or sitting back?
Right. I mean,
If
you
you're
have
just seeing
pants
me
on.
from here-
We know
if
you
you're-
have pants on.
If you're seeing me from here up, it's just not the same.
Right. And so it's just, I feel like Satan is just setting us up. But we as Christians, we as people that have the faith, we can be proactive, and we can do what God's called us to do, and make a phone call, because I naturally want to text. I'm a texter. Texting is easier for me because my words sometimes get confusing, and so if I'm in a text, I know I'm saying exactly what I say, but I need to actually call that person every once in a while so they hear my voice. You can hear the excitement in my voice. You can also hear when I'm angry in my voice. You can hear those things. So
And texts get misinterpreted a lot
right,
of times.
yes, because you can't tell the reflection in the voice or anything like that. So I think that we need to be proactive, and we need to care for those around us and know that they're hurting.
And how do you do that with COVID? Because they've got us afraid to
I know.
to look at each other.
And then I'm kind of hard of hearing. And so with the mask on, I can't always hear what somebody's saying to me because I read lips. And so it's really done a number on communicating for me. It's done a number on, and I can't be the only one. And so you've got to get past the fear and just love people. I get back to love. Is the 2021 for me is going to be about loving those around me, and even those that have really hurt me, because 2020 was a hard year. I got some big blows from some people that were never supposed to hurt you. Lots of pain from 2020 that I'm not carrying into 2021. I'm refusing. And
how much of that do we attribute to the pandemic? A certain amount of that, I guess, right? Don't know what amount.
Right. Yeah.
But addiction, you say people get isolated, they want to communicate, they can't communicate face to face with people, and so that leads them to drugs.
Right.
Why does that lead them to drugs? They just simply want to feel different.
Right. And I mean, they get bored. They're lonely. They want to not feel what they're feeling anymore. And so,
They just want to feel different,
yeah,
and an aspirin won't do it.
right.
And they need something to change. And the feeling is not necessarily just to feel good. It's just to feel different. It's like putting your hand on a hot stove, and you just want to get your hand off, and
Right.
you don't. You could take it off and put it in ice cold water, which would hurt the same, but at least it's different.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, I have a 17-year-old that struggles with things.
At 17, they struggle with everything.
Yeah. She's in a battle. To me, she's in a battle for her soul, for her mind, for everything. And I watch her struggle every day. And she needs school. She needs to be there. She needs the people. She needs that. And having to do virtual school and all this has just done a number on her. And it makes her, I watch all these teenagers. I have lots of teenagers at my house all the time. And every one of them that walk in are literally
Zombies.
broken. They're broken. They're hurting. They deal with issues. They cut. They deal with suicidal thoughts. They deal with alcohol. They deal with drugs. And these are kids that in the natural, you look at them and they have it all together. They have good grades. And I'm telling you, like 10, 12 kids in just the last month that have walked through my door. Something about me, I have something written on my face, confess to me, confessional. So we have these confessionals at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear these things these kids are saying. And I want to just fix it, and I can't. But God will give me avenues to help them. But if you have a teenager at home, don't let their good grades and their attitudes. I've learned so much in the last month about what these kids are doing in this generation that my mind is blown. I'm literally, because a few of these kids that have been at my house in the last month, you would never think would ever have a suicidal thought, ever think of cutting themselves, ever think of anything like that. And they've known me less than a month, and they're telling me all about this. So that means they really want help. They really want to change. They really don't want to grow up and be an addict. They want to change. And so we as adults, we as Christians need to get our act together and be able to see that our kids are hurting, that there's a whole generation that's hurting. And I don't know the answer right this minute. I don't have an answer to give you because I'm right in the midst of it, and I'm trying to figure out the way to help all these kids. I just know I can't do it alone. I can't take 10, 12 kids under my belt and do this alone. So we all need to step up to plate, and we all need to love our kids, and we all need to, I'm trying to learn to love them and not condone what they're doing, but not make them feel like I'm judging them. So to me, it's a balancing game right this minute. But I'm telling you, you'd be amazed at the kids that have been at my house and the things that they have confessed to doing during all of this with COVID.
And everything they've done is not even that big a deal. They just can't get it through their head that it's not that big a deal. And so if they can't get that through their head, then they live with that guilt of doing something that's not that big a deal, and they can't get released from it.
But the amount, all of them, 10, 12, how many kids you think have been at the house? 10, 12, around in there, 10, 12, every one of them at one time or another in the last month have confessed suicidal thoughts to the point of making plans.
You know,
So to me, that's the pandemic right this minute.
Well, I was, that reminds me of when I was in maybe the 4th grade. This seems like it has nothing to do with it, but I think it does. And I remember getting on the bus, and I sat next to the guy that was always in trouble. He didn't care. And I forgot my Valentine's. And it was Valentine's Day. And I said, oh, I forgot my Valentine's. And I was thinking, because I just got on the bus, and he said, I never take Valentine's. And immediately, it was okay. He didn't take Valentine's, and I'm not either. So I think kids are missing that communication of knowing that they're in the same boat as a lot of other. See, what made me feel better is I was in the same boat with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So knowing you're in the same boat with somebody is a big deal to releasing that pressure.
Yeah, that's the
so
truth.
I think that's what kids are not getting right now. They're not interacting with other kids and saying, "Oh, they have this problem too,"
Right.
and they're dealing with it this way. So now they just don't know.
And the traditional family is not traditional anymore.
It's over.
That's gone.
It's over.
And I hear these kids say,
Now, what do you say about tradition? Describe traditional family.
to me, it would have been
Leave it
my
to
birth mom and dad.
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah, my birth mom and dad, everyone in the house. We eat dinner at the same time every night. I always longed for it, but we were always chaotic, and so
When did that stop, and why did it stop?
I don't know. I'm 43, and I don't ever remember having it in my home, but I remember my friends having it. I can remember when we lived in Illinois, my friends, they all ate dinner at the same time every night. They all sat down, and so I remember how much I longed for it. And
Routine or structure?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I've tried to do that with my daughter, but I was a single mom, and
It's impossible.
I work, even now, I work 2 jobs, and I go all the time. I do prison ministry, I do all this, and I try very hard I cook dinner almost every night. I do those things, but as far as what people are programmed life should be, I think that's done. And so we have to realize that not every family is going to look the same, but that doesn't mean every family is dysfunctional. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
I think routine is the big thing.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I think routine's important. No matter what it is, it's a routine.
But that's personality type. My personality type is I want everything written on a calendar. I don't like spontaneity. I don't like that. I want it all written out. I want to go to bed at the same time. I want that structure. But do I really want it, or is it because I didn't get it when I was younger? It's that kind of thing. You have to balance
and
it out.
I don't know if it matters. You know, they say.
Well, it drives the people in my life that aren't structured crazy.
Well,
'Cause
it's like the old question, nature or nurture. It doesn't matter. You couldn't control either one of them.
Right.
So if you're this way, you're just this way, and forget about changing it. Just deal with it. I guess.
No, but I have changed. I've asked the Lord, because I used to see things black and white. There were no middle ground.
No grays.
There was no grays, and so about 8 years ago, I told the Lord I have to have some gray to make it, and He has shown me, and through showing me the gray areas, all of a sudden I've lost the judgmental part of me. It seems like it's
Give me an area of something that used to be black and white, but now you have a gray.
Okay, alcohol. I'll be honest. If you drank alcohol, you were going to hell. It was just, that was the way it was.
Did you get that from your church upbringing?
Yes, very much so. Then I got a master's in divinity. I graduated in May.
But when Jesus turned the water to wine, were you led to believe that it wasn't wine?
It wasn't wine, yes, yes. And so I got a master's of divinity. I graduated in May. And through that, that's when I was like, okay, Lord, show me. And all of a sudden, the scripture, working your own salvation out with fear and trembling, became real to me, because I discovered that
it's your own.
That alcohol to me is, if I'm getting drunk every night and it's affecting my life and things like that, then that's one thing. That at that point it would be something I needed to look at. But as far as having a glass of wine here or there,
the world does it.
It doesn't. To me, it doesn't constitute that you're going to hell anymore. But it did for 40 years. It did.
And you carried that pressure maybe.
Yeah, and then I would be out in public and I would see somebody that I knew from church and they had a bottle of beer or a glass of wine and I automatically judged them. Oh, they're not who they say they are. And my mind would do all this. And now it's just like,
Who cares?
who cares? Yes.
Who cares?
Yeah, yeah. But the young lady that was at my house last night, she's an addict. She's an alcoholic. She stopped at a gas station last night and she got a shot. That's crossing the line.
Shot of what?
I don't know. I didn't ask. Brandy, I think is what she said. But she got a shot of something. And at that point, that's an issue.
All because she wants to feel different.
Because she's hurting.
Because addiction, I don't know. I mean, I go every morning and I get coffee. If I don't get coffee, I can't hardly think. Now, is it because the coffee helps me, or am I out of my routine? That's always
Could
been
be
my
either
question.
one.
And I'm not sure that it matters whether it's routine or I have to have the coffee. Get the coffee. But coffee's not been proven to hurt you.
Right.
And too much alcohol has been proven to hurt your liver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's real
Obviously,
reason.
I like food and I'm fat. So that's an addiction just as much as everything else.
Just as much as the coffee.
I mean, I've lost 112 pounds this year because it matters to me that I practice what I preach. So if I'm going to go to a drug addict and say you can't take drugs, then I'm going to change my lifestyle and I'm going to get healthy. So I think that if you're going to preach something, you need to practice it. So I'm diligent in that I'm going to get control of my eating. But even getting control of your eating, if you don't watch yourself, then you go back. You trade one addiction for another. I got to the point I had no vitamins in my body, and I was slowly killing myself, even though I was losing weight. So to the natural people around me, oh, she's doing great. She's losing weight. She's lost 112 pounds. But my body was dying because I wasn't getting the nourishment I needed. So that's where balance has to come in. Addiction is addiction. You quit drinking alcohol, but you start smoking pot. You're still an addict. You just traded it for one thing or another.
And maybe that's okay. Trade it for something else.
Well,
But trade it for walking.
I mean, I've lost enough weight that my blood pressure medicine has gone down, things like that. So I'm achieving what I want to achieve, but I'm not achieving what I want to achieve until I have balance and I'm eating the right way and getting the nourishment from the food. And I'm getting there.
And that will evolve. You
Yeah,
didn't know
so-
that in the beginning.
Right.
You had
Yeah.
to start somewhere. I guess.
So that's what I'm saying is that I'm not blind that addiction is only drugs, alcohol, this. Addiction can be whatever you make it. A cell phone. A cell phone. I
I'm a
mean,
workaholic.
I battle that.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can do about it. I quit. I quit trying.
And I try to turn my cell phone off. I try to do those things. It doesn't work for me. I mean, so I know where my flaws are. I'm straightforward about them. And so that's a step in the right direction because I'm going to work on it. I mean, I do spend time with my family now. I consciously make sure that I disconnect when I need to. If that means giving my phone to somebody and taking my Apple Watch off and handing it to somebody, you keep this until we've accomplished this goal, then that's what I do now. But that's where a spirit of self-control comes in. You've got to set your mind to that I'm going to achieve this and do it.
And I think you need to have a reason to achieve it. You
Well,
have
that's-
to. You have
yeah.
to come up with a real reason why I want to do this.
And I want to do it because I want to be faithful.
I think the why is more important than any of it. The why I want to do this. I think it's more important than the why I don't want to do it.
Well, my daughter last year, we've had a rough life, and I thought that if I worked hard enough and had enough money to make sure that she had a car, she had everything that she wanted, then I was helping her life. But come to find out that at times she just needed me. She just needed me to cook dinner and sit at the table and play a card game with her.
Watch a TV show. or
Watch a
something.
TV show. She needed that. And I can't go back and redo it. I can't go back and give her those things. But it's never too late. My pastor, David Riggs, at Faith Memorial, all those years, he said almost every service, it's never too late to start doing the right thing. It's never too late. Even if you have grown children, it's not too late. Schedule a night. Let them come over, play board games, do those things. You can't go back and redo, but you can certainly start. And so about a year ago, I decided I'm going to cook dinner. I'm going to do those things. And if that means that I give my phone to somebody, then that's what I'm going to do, because I only have a few more months with her. She's going to be 18. She's a senior. And the Lord used that baby to save my life. I never would have left my abusive husband, and he would have eventually killed me. But I gave birth to that baby, and he wasn't going to hurt her. He has hurt her, but not physically. I can't control what happens at this point, but I can be there, and I can love her. And so it's never too late to start. And I have had to learn that an email can sit there for 20 or 30 minutes. It won't sit there much longer than that. Right. But it can sit there for that length of time and me not respond.
And
a text message
and the
can.
person that sent it really doesn't necessarily want you to respond right away.
No, I actually get a comment back. I didn't expect to hear from you this fast.
It's almost like annoying if you send it back right away. Now they feel like they got to respond.
Right. And so I'm learning. It's a learning curve. I was a youth pastor for 7 years, and I remember teaching my youth, telling my youth, the day that I feel like I've arrived and I don't need anything is the day that I need to hit my knees the most. And so I want to always be a work in progress. I want to always be aiming to learn something new, to let something go, to discover what I can do better. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that we all need to examine ourselves often. And I hurt my daughter. I gave her everything that she wanted. She's never wanted for anything. But when she goes to a counselor, she talks about how my mama wasn't there. And do you know what that feels like? It hurts.
Yeah, but I think over time
she'll see.
She'll
see.
She'll have kids of hers on, and she'll say, "Oh, I understand now why they did that."
I mean, I was in school a majority of her life because I started college at 33, and I've gotten several degrees since then. And so I would do a lot of homework, and I worked full time. So, but if she would really sit and look back, I turned the computer off at a certain time every night, and I read to her every night, and I did those things every night. She just can't remember that, and I don't know.
That's with all kids.
I mean, she can't remember that.
And with wives, by the way.
She just focuses on how much I worked, how much I do, and she even complains now. But I do try to give everyone in my life as much time as I can give them. I try not to be all about work, all about...
But you still have to be you.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you can't spend time with them that much? Does it really matter?
Well, it matters to me. It matters to me that they know how much I love them, each and every one of them. So it matters to me that they know, like, if their love language is quality time, I'm going to make sure that they get my time. But there has to be a balance there, because I can't work 24 hours a day.
You can't,
So I can't just sleep 2 or 3 hours and keep going. I could do that before COVID. But.
Maybe if we're wanting to tell the teenagers, hey, don't worry about this, it doesn't matter, don't stress over it. Maybe if somebody was 80 and they were talking to us, they would say, hey, don't worry about it, doesn't matter, don't stress over it.
Right.
Maybe we're doing the same thing.
Right.
Just on another level.
I agree.
Maybe we just need to live and not get... I had a good friend of mine told me one time, he said, you can do about anything you want in moderation.
That's good.
That's a good point.
It is.
And he was 80. So I guess just do whatever you want in moderation.
Yeah. And I mean, I just, balance is a significant word for all of us, is to have a balance to where you don't just work all the time and you don't just have fun all the time. I've
had a problem my whole life with balance.
Me too.
I just can't do it. I mean, I'm either pedal to the metal or stopped. And I can't get I can't get the even kill.
Right.
I don't know if they make medicine for that, or maybe that's what the wine's for.
Yeah, maybe. I'm like, I have a
Maybe
hard
that was
time.
our problem.
I struggle with balance.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. So.
You're all or nothing, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's just
And
who
usually
you-
I'm all
Yeah.
like until COVID. It's
Yeah.
like, and then it was like, ah. So,
This COVID is almost the perfect crime.
mm,
If you had to, as far as, you say, well, I'm not worried about it. 99.9% of the people survive it, of the ones they even know that had it. So it's probably a higher percentage of that. You say, okay, I accept that premise. Well, go to the mall. I believe I'll just stay here because I might get it. So you can't answer that question whether or not you should interact. You just got to not do it, I guess. But the vaccine is out. I noticed there's a bunch of people at First Baptist, the people that are over 75 getting the vaccine today.
oh, really?
Yeah, there's a big line. I saw somebody on Facebook, and I think my dad went to get it. So maybe that will relax everybody a little bit.
Maybe.
And I guess the people that were worried about it and stayed in from March, if they did something that helped themselves or bettered themselves during that period, it might be great.
Yeah.
But the ones that didn't do nothing and just sat, it was a big waste,
Yeah.
an absolute waste.
I mean, I didn't. I was essential everywhere, so I never missed a day of work, except when I had it. And even then, I worked from home from my bedroom.
Did you have to go to the hospital?
I did. I didn't get admitted though, but I did have to go twice because my oxygen level would go too low.
What was the lowest it was?
70 or 83 was the lowest it went.
Which is not real low from
No.
people I know that. Did you feel like you need to go to the emergency room
Yes.
or something?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know you
I
had
was
it?
dehydrated, so I needed just bags of fluid, and then I
So
came
why
back
did
home
you go to the hospital?
because I knew I was dehydrated, and
Did-
my
did-
heart rate was
did
so
you-
high.
Did you know you had COVID then?
Yes.
Why did you get tested?
If we're real honest, I was
Yeah.
being a smart aleck to my daughter because she said, "You have COVID. You have COVID." I said, "No, I don't. I just have a sinus infection."
So your nose
And-
was stopped up or what?
My nose was stuffed up. I had a really bad headache. The headache was the worst thing for me.
Was it just a little headache or a bad headache?
It was a bad headache, like really bad. And but then I did lose my smell and taste. And then I started running a fever, and we couldn't get it down. I was like 103, 104 for 23 days.
No smell, no taste, 103 temperature, you got COVID, I guess. So you went, they tested you
Yeah.
positive?
I went, and they did a rapid test, and it came back immediately positive.
Did that scare you, or
No.
so you just went home and
Yeah.
slept?
Yeah, yeah. And they gave me a Z-Pack, and then, yeah. Then everybody at the house had to stay at the house. They quarantined everybody. So, but I have an awesome village that are around me. I mean, people brought food and dropped it off at my door.
So you stayed in your room
Mm-hmm.
for how many days?
28.
Golly, you were going crazy.
I was. And I have like 7, at that point I had 7 people in the house, but no one else in the house got it. No one else got it. And so we did things right. We did it right. And so
Where do you think you got it?
I have no clue.
Just
I have no
got
clue.
it.
Yeah. I have really bad lung issues. I get pneumonia like 3 or 4 times a year before all this. So since I've had COVID, I've had pneumonia 3 times since.
How do you know when you've got pneumonia?
Me?
Yeah.
I get a pain in my back on my left side. And I just know that, this has been 10 years for me now. So I just know.
What do you do then? Go to the hospital? Or
No, I just go to the doctor and get a Rocephin shot and steroids, but they won't give me steroids till I'm 6 months out of COVID. So I have another month and a half.
Why is that? Right?
I don't know. Because they give everybody else steroids.
That's what I reckon everybody else gets steroids.
But they won't give
shots.
me any. So
Maybe you've had too many.
maybe that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
So, um, yeah. So I just have to be careful of what I do to make sure that I don't get pneumonia. When I feel the tightness, I start taking Mucinex, and I just do things. And I take lots of multivitamins, lots of stuff.
So when you start feeling the pneumonia coming on, you take Mucinex?
It seems to help me.
I take a Mucinex every morning.
And I drink lots of water now.
Mucinex makes my nose run. It speeds me up a little bit, and I feel better.
Yeah.
But I say every morning, three mornings a week, something like that. I'm not addicted.
Right. Well, right now I'm taking it every day, just to make sure.
You take the D?
Yes.
You have to sign for it when you go.
No.
I always have to sign for it. I don't know
Oh,
why.
I'm buying generic stuff.
Oh.
It doesn't have the same stuff in it.
Oh, it doesn't? I always get the D. It really helps.
Well, I might go get some of that.
Yeah, makes your nose really run. So are you on any other boards in Cleveland? Aren't you on, what all are you involved, name what you're involved in, WTNB?
Family Cornerstones.
Family Cornerstone, what's that?
It's a faith-based nonprofit here in Cleveland that we go into homes and we help get children ready for kindergarten from birth to 5 years old.
Is that working with Head Start or is that before Head Start?
It's before Head Start.
That's the before, yeah.
But we work with the health department and the school systems, and they go in and they do like assessments on the younger children to catch things like autism and kids that are on the spectrum that might have a learning disability or are developmentally delayed, and we go in and teach that.
Otherwise, you'd be setting them in an environment that they didn't. It'd be
right, because as a parent, you're your child's first teacher. You may be singing A, B, C, D, E, F, G to them, but you're actually a teacher. You're teaching them, and so we come in with skills that you're not just doing building blocks. You're discovering that the child can put the block on top of each other and what to look for to see if there's developmentally delayed, to see if there's autism, to see if there's those things. And they're certified teachers. The two teachers that we have right now they actually have master degrees, and they're teachers. And they, right now, of course, they're not actually going into the homes, but they do virtual or
assessments of every child.
But they
or
go
just the ones
they go once or twice a month and meet with the parents and take activities with them
of children that are suspected of maybe having a learning disorder.
They don't even have to do that. They can just be a first-time parent that is battling postpartum or something like that, because it gives them another adult to have contact with. And so
you might find out a child's got dyslexia or something like that.
And we have a waiting list. We serve, I think right now we have 40 families in Cleveland and Bradley County that we serve. So people don't even know that this is here in Cleveland. And it's a huge blessing to the school systems, because if you get a Starfish kid, Family Cornerstones is the name of the organization, but Starfish is the name of the program. And it's called Parent as Teachers. It's a nationally syndicated program, and you earn a blue ribbon if you're one of the STAR programs, and we are actually a blue ribbon.
Who funds that program?
Right now it's grants and
so
individual.
The federal government?
No. If you take federal money, you have to take God out of it, and so it wouldn't be a faith-based program. So I run that also. So WTNB, Family Cornerstones. I'm the chair for the Kairos Prison Ministry on the inside,
which you mentioned.
And then I help with worship at a few local churches in town. And my daughter and I are helping with a church in Spring City with worship right now. And then I have a bunch of teenagers at my house all the time. So I consider that a ministry at this point.
I built a building in Spring City, 2 of them. And it's a long way. You can't get there from here, hardly,
Right.
can you?
No, it takes about 35 minutes for us.
Yeah, at least.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's an hour.
Mm-hmm. But it means my daughter's doing something that she loves.
I like
And-
Spring City.
Mhm.
I just don't like it from here.
Right. It is a very,
It's a long way, and there's nowhere to eat there.
right.
Well, they got a Hardee's.
Yeah, we tried a little Mexican restaurant one Sunday after church.
We ate
It
it.
was
We
okay.
used to eat at the deli there at that store, that grocery store.
Right. Now we just drive back to Cleveland and eat somewhere here after
Yeah.
church. So, yeah.
35 minutes or 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. This is according to who's driving,
Yeah.
to be honest. So,
Well,
Yeah.
what else are you involved in? Is that enough?
that's about it right this minute. Yeah. So,
Well, I tell you what, this has certainly been enlightening. Let me ask you this: if you were a teenager and you had addictions, or you were troubled emotionally, what book would you read or would you recommend?
The Search for Significance is the name of it. I do not remember the author, but it's a book and a workbook. And I do it about once a year. I go through the book. I've been doing it for about 25 years, The Search for Significance. I actually got it out last night. And it teaches you to search yourself and find your worth and your significance. Because if you can know your worth and your significance, then everything else is going to fall into line. And I've done it for 25 years, and it's still an everyday battle for me, because even this phone call to come here was odd to me, because to me, I'm a nobody. And why would somebody want to sit and talk to me?
You're nowhere near a nobody.
Well,
buddy.
that's how I feel in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would somebody want to sit and talk to me? I'm a nobody. And then the people around me are like, no, you're worth sitting and talking to. But even reading a book every day, every year, and staying in the Word and staying all that, I have to search for my significance. And so I can't imagine being a teenager and the battles that they go through. Because I hated being a teenager when I was a teenager, and that was a long time ago. And so I can't imagine the world that they're in with the social media, and everything that you do is exposed at every second.
Oh, Lord.
And I can't imagine not having any kind of a safe haven. And so the Search for Significance would be instrumental to not just kids, but to everyone, because it's a book that you get to examine yourself, and you get to be honest with yourself, and you get to be real with yourself. And so,
The Search for Significance.
yeah.
And it's been out how long?
I read it for the first time 25 years ago. My dad died with AIDS in the most horrific way, and I couldn't get it pulled together. And my pastor at the time, Derek Wilson, brought me this book, and he said, I want you to work through this. And it really was life-changing for me then. And I have to pull it out about once a year. And I don't necessarily read the whole book and go through it now, but I can read my notes from the past 25 years and see where God's brought me. And so that's how come journaling, writing things are instrumental also, because I keep journals and I keep things, so I can go back to 5 years ago and see where I am now, and I can see what God's done, and I can see the things that I still need to work on. Oh, I did this 5 years ago, I still do this now, we need to change this. And so I think holding yourself accountable and Search for Significance would definitely be the answer.
It stood the test of time with you,
Yes.
at least.
And the Bait of Satan is the other one that I think everyone, that teaches you to have, to not have a spirit of offense, to where, because I hear people, well, that offended me, and that's rampant in the world we're in today. I can't do this because I'm offended. And the bait of Satan teaches you that's the bait Satan uses, is offense. And it gives you skills and things that you can do to not walk around and be offended. If I say I'm offended, it's a big, big offense at this point in my life, because you can almost do anything to me and I just, now, behind closed doors, I cry and I work through it, but I just don't want to live with a spirit of offense. And so The Bait of Satan would be a good book for that.
When people get offended, then the next thing they seek is validation.
Right.
And they want that person that offended them to retract what they said.
Right. And 90% of the time, that's never going to happen.
They don't even remember they said it.
Right. And if they did, they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And then this person's still trying to get their validation. And if you're dealing with a narcissistic person, then they will take advantage
Yes.
of you trying to get validation from them.
And then you try to get validation from those around you. And then you start telling your story, and you try to get people on your team. And when I got married, Derek Wilson, the same guy that did the Search for Significance, he said to me, he said, when you get mad at Billy, when you argue, when you guys fight, don't run to your mom and your sisters and tell them he did da 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 da, because they're not in love with him. You're going to forgive him. They're not. And so you're going to have all this animosity and everything. Of course, I did exactly what he told me not to.
Sure.
And I ran to them and I did all that. And then there was always a struggle with their relationship because of that. But he did abuse me aggressively. So some of that needed to be told eventually. But because of all I went through with doing that in that marriage, I don't do that anymore. And when I hear somebody, I'm like, well, there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and then somewhere in the middle, there's the truth. Because we're always going to slant it in our favor. This is what they did to us. This is, and so you have to be able to find balance, back to my word of choice, balance, and know, okay, well, you have to look at this from both perspectives and find the truth that's somewhere in the middle.
And sometimes you have to say, who cares? Just live.
Yeah.
Just live.
I need more of that in my life. I do.
Just who cares? It doesn't matter.
But I do care. I do care what people think. I do care. And so I'm trying to find a way to not.
And that's a problem too. Who cares what they think? You can't even control what they think.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
If they're not buying you a cup of coffee, who cares?
Right. Now I'm going to go get coffee when I leave here because you've said it enough that I want a cup. So, yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Thank you so much.
Good.